it was just all temporary, or like, something to just mask the pain, and then it would just come back, and then I'd have to take more medication. And they always tell me I need to do something about it, but they never told me what I needed to do. To me, it was almost like a rescue for me in a way, and to fix my boredom, to fix my depression, give me something to do to focus my anxiety on. But over time, I realized that that was completely wrong.
Welcome, everybody. Today we have with us Cassandra, who is going to share with us, I understand, a success story around nutrition, I believe. So Cassandra, maybe start out telling us a little bit about your background, who you are, that type of stuff, and then we can get into what has happened.
Yeah, I'm a mom of 3, so I'm busy. I work. The kids keep me busy, obviously. I kind of struggled with weight my entire life, I guess. I think when I also struggled with a bit of anxiety as well. And I think I hit a point where I was just, I need to do something about this. I want to do something for my kids. I want to get healthy, be around for them. And I actually didn't even know about carnivore at all. Someone introduced me to it, and I just kind of was like, I'm not sure, because, I've always been one to I was always told to, eat your vegetables, and you need to do things a certain way. And I was kind of set on that. And I just thought, well, I've tried everything else. Nothing seems to work for me, so I'm going to try this. And I did, and it was life-changing. I'm a completely different person today than I was a year ago, and it's been amazing.
Well, awesome. Well, how did you hear about? I mean, somebody introduced you to. I guess at this time, it's in 2025 or maybe 2024 when you started. It's becoming more and more known, I suppose. When I started this 10 years ago, like, no one had heard of it. In fact, I was a guy that called it carnivore, so the first guy to call it that. So it's not,
Yeah.
or at least in a public way. So specifically the issues, I saw something about fatty liver and prediabetes and maybe some mental health stuff, anxiety, depression, at least. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong on that. How were you managing that stuff before? Were there any doctors involved in this, or how did it go initially?
So the fatty liver, I went to the doctor for it, and because I had noticed it, I could see it sticking out a little. It was so bad. And I went to the doctor, and they just they didn't really do much for it. They just said, oh yeah, that's what it is, and it's your diet. And but they didn't really offer any tips or anything to help with that. Honestly, with carnivore, I didn't know that it would be great for all of this, like the things that I was struggling with, like eczema. I have degenerative disc disorder in my lower spine from a past injury. So dealing with pain with that, they were just offering me medications and painkillers, and I didn't want to be on any of that, because I'm not somebody that wants to be on pills all the time. And I had gone to like chiropractors and stuff, but like, nothing really seemed to, like, it was just all temporary, or like, something to just mask the pain, and then it would just come back, and then I'd have to take more medication. And for like the diabetes part, I got it mostly after having kids. So I had like the gestational diabetes, and and they told me that because it runs in my family, that I really need to look after this and that. And they always tell me I need to do something about it, but they never told me what I needed to do. So, I mean, figuring that out on my own was something that I was working on. But yeah, once I figured out the whole carnivore thing and I looked more into it, my friend told me about it, and I just I looked into it, and like I said before, I was kind of unsure, and so I just kind of, like I said, I tried everything else, so I'm gonna try this. And yeah.
Okay, and so tell me how you started and what the early, like, some people have kind of transition symptoms. Did you notice benefits right away, or what was the transition like?
So at first it was hard because I was craving the sugars and the carbs. I really struggled with, um, the depression part of it. And because I was somebody that, I would get depressed and then I would eat and then I would feel okay for a bit. And then I would, it was just like a vicious cycle. And, and then once I got into like the carnivore part of it, the first few weeks were really bad for me because, I was addicted basically to the sugars and the carbs and the feelings that it gave me. And so I kind of just pushed through because, like I said before, I hit a point where I had to do something about it. And if I didn't keep trying, then I would never know. Right. So I just kind of pushed through that. That was kind of the worst part for me. And then after a few weeks, I started to realize that, I'm not craving these things as much. Like I don't need these things. And so I would start with like a couple meals a day. Usually things that I would normally have like bacon and stuff. And then over time I would create my own meals and add things that I would find exciting so that I wasn't really depending on like sugars and carbs to be my excitement anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how many people, food is an excitement for them in a way, and it's kind of like there's a
Yeah.
lot of things in life where you can get excitement and fulfillment from, and a lot of people maybe they don't have a lot of things in their lives and they turn to food in some cases. What's so how do I mean when you were that obviously the doctor said there's nothing about diet doesn't matter, it doesn't impact your back, it doesn't impact your fatty liver, perhaps, I don't know, I can't believe they'd say that, but anxiety, depression, things like that. um when you were eating before and you said you were getting a thrill out of eating sugar, I mean, how was that relationship? I mean, were you always hungry all the time? Was it something you did clandestinely? Was it something you just, I mean, how did that display itself? Hey folks, it's Dr. ShawnBaker here. Hey, if you or someone you love is suffering from chronic disease and you're tired of just managing symptoms with potions, pills, and procedures, I want you to check out Revero.com. Our team of dedicated professionals is committed to tackling the root cause of your issue and finally getting you healthy. Hurry up though, our spaces are filling up very quickly.
So I was kind of like, so I would eat when I was like depressed or I'd eat when I was bored. It was just something that, that I had just become accustomed to because that was just what I did. And I went to, sorry, I forgot what I was going to say here. um, I kind of went to, a dark place for a bit and I just started like binging and all that. And to me, it was almost like a rescue for me in a way, and to fix my boredom, to fix my depression, give me something to do to focus my anxiety on. But over time, I realized that was completely wrong, and that's not really the way to live at all. So
Yeah, fair enough. And you said you have 3 children. How old are they now these days?
I have a 15, a 10, and a 4-year-old.
Okay. And how has your diet, has it had any knock-on effects on the kids? Because a lot of times when the parents eat better, the kids are kind of like, maybe forced to do that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't force them, but I give them the option to do it, and they question me, and I explain to them, what I do, and I kind of say it as if it's not really a diet that I'm on. I always say it's a way of living, right? Because I kind of just focus more on being healthy and eating this way because it's been, like I said, life changing for me, and they see that in me, and they've seen the changes in me and how happier I am, and I'm in less pain, I'm more active. And so that kind of motivates them to want to do the same. I know my oldest son that he's wanted to do it because he's getting more into like working out and that, and I've explained to him the benefits of that as well, like the high protein and all that. So he's gotten into it too.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, and I've got four children, kind of in those age ranges from 12 to 19 now, and certainly getting them to eat higher quality nutrition, whether it's carnivore or not, is a huge difference on every aspect of their
Yeah.
life. Do you find that? I mean, initially you said you had some of these medical issues, you saw some healthcare teams. Have you been back to see them since you went carnivore to show the difference, or no?
Yeah, so I've had my liver checked again, and they were just kind of astonished at how much it shrank. And that was kind of one of my concerns for non-alcoholic fatty liver is that, high fat. I thought maybe that would be worse, but it's actually not, and it reversed it completely. So they were very shocked. And then people end up very shocked when I tell them how I did it as well, because some people just kind of look at me like, no, that's wrong. You can't eat that way. And I've kind of just learned to just ignore them. I know what works for me, and I know it has worked for me. And I always tell people, the proof is in the steak because I eat a lot of steak.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with the results. I mean, clearly,
Yeah.
apparently you've reversed your fatty liver and you've lost weight, and you didn't mention if it's impacted your mental health. I assume it has. I mean, maybe enlighten me on that. Has it made a better difference on your mood and your mental health?
Yeah, so I think with the weight loss too. I'm not 100% sure if it was carnivore that, took it away completely, but I think it had a lot to do with my mental state and the way I feel about myself and my self-confidence. So I was losing weight, I was feeling better, I was in less pain, I was more active, I was doing the things I've always wanted to do, and my confidence just kind of grew and grew, and it just made me into like this happier person, like the person I was supposed to always be.
Yeah, fair enough. And it's got to feel better. Has anybody else? Well, you said some people when you tell them how you did your physician, that can't be good for you eating all this meat. Um, Canada, in general, I think they're pushing more of a plant based. At least the most recent guidelines that they put out a couple of years ago was all kind of plant based kind of stuff. And I talk to people in Canada, and they say that meat becomes quite expensive there. Is that what you're finding? Is it challenging to make this work on a I don't know what kind of budget you have, but is it challenging?
Yeah, it is. I tend to just get all my meat at Costco now because it's kind of worked for me that way. But we've actually, um, yeah, I've had to budget a lot because it's very expensive, especially because I find steaks work the best for me. I eat a lot of steak with butter and salt, which is very expensive, and it's expensive if you have three kids to feed as well. But yeah, it's like you said about the plant based. I notice a lot of plant based items in the grocery stores, like a lot. And it just blows my mind that like, carnivore isn't more talked about because like I said, when I bring it up to people, they're like, no, you can't eat like that. That's not good for you. And I said, well, you know, the proof is in, like I said, like in my results, like I feel like a completely different person and you can't deny that. So, and then they don't really have much to say after that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in order to be healthy, you have to feel bad. Apparently, I mean, I guess maybe that's the
Yeah.
the alternate there.
It's
And of course, they would say, well, you could just eat a Mediterranean diet and cut out junk food. I'm assuming you've done that before, or maybe you haven't. Have you tried like a normal, healthy, balanced, no junk food diet in the past?
Yeah, so I tried paleo before. And I've done all the other programs for losing weight, and nothing's ever worked. Nothing works. Like I said, I've always struggled with weight, and it was always really hard. Like I can put weight on easily, but getting it off is a whole different story. And with this high fat carnivore, it just kind of like fell off of me. Like it was crazy. Like I would lose a whole bunch and then I would kind of like plateau a little bit and then I would just lose a bunch more and it just kept going. And I'm sure at some point my body will stop. I've kind of hit my goal now. I've lost 90 pounds. So I'm pretty sure I'm just maintaining now.
Yeah, I mean that's I mean obviously 90 pounds is significant. You've got to feel quite a bit better with it. How's your back feel, by the way? With the, you said you had degenerative disc disease in your back. Is it notably better with the weight loss and the diet?
I have almost zero pain. It is completely gone. And I'll notice like there have been a couple times where I've slipped a little bit and the pain just comes back. Like it's, and then that's my reminder, like, you know, you got to stay on track. And I've been on track since that last time. But yeah, it's crazy that I lived so long with so much pain, and just over this past year, it's completely gone. There's times where like it's never going to go away, but it's a little bit there, but it's almost non-existent now. Like I can do so many things.
Yeah, it's awesome. Do you have any other friends, I don't know, co-workers, family members that have noticed? I'm sure people notice when you lose 90 pounds. It's hard not to.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, they've all said something to me, and I've actually inspired a couple people to do carnivore as well. I know my boss and her husband, he tried it, he's been doing it, and he's been losing weight. And it's a great feeling to be that inspiration and to kind of get this word out that, you know, this isn't just something that was created to, you know, make things worse for people. This is to make you better. This is probably the healthiest I've been. So
Do you, so let me ask you what your diet looks like specifically these days. You said you like a lot of steaks. What do you eat specifically?
Um, so I usually have it like I buy those. I can't remember if they're just grilling steaks or what, but um they come in a pack of four. So I usually eat one of those and then like four eggs and then with lots of butter and salt. I started with two meals, like I said, and now I've gone to one meal a day, and that's usually like I said, a big steak, eggs, maybe some cheese. I don't eat a lot of cheese because I find that um, it upsets my stomach a little bit, but mostly the steak and the eggs have been great for me. I eat bacon. Bacon's great. I tend to stay away. Over time, I realize, you know, what works for me and what doesn't. I find that chicken and that doesn't really benefit me too much, but the higher fats, like the red meats, have been great for me. So I stick with those.
When you were sick prior to going, carnivore and eating lots of red meat, how much red meat did you eat in the past? Were you believing that was kind of bad for you and something you ate rarely, or did you still eat a lot of it?
Um, I didn't eat a lot of it at all, no, because I mean, I love steak, I've always loved steak, but I've never had opportunity to like just, you know, go buy steaks and eat them myself. But like I said, I figured out ways to make the steaks. Like I use my air fryer now because I don't have a barbecue. So I found ways to like make things differently and make them delicious. And even like snack wise, instead of, you know, wanting to go crave something like candy or chips, or pizza even, I found ways to make carnivore pizza that feels like a treat and satisfies that craving.
Yeah, it's interesting that, a lot of people, when they're on a standard American diet, a treat is like, the most ridiculous, massive amount of dessert, ice cream, cookies, cakes, all smushed together, Reese's peanut butter cups thrown in there, and that's their treat because everything else is already
Yeah.
such garbage. And now when you eat carnivore, like for some people, it's like, yeah, I made a little carnivore style pizza, and that's a huge, you know, treat for me.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who I don't really get that excited about treats anymore. It's because it doesn't do that much for me, like maybe in the past. I so you said would you say you're at a goal weight? Are you still working, or you think you're happy where you're at, or what are your thoughts on that?
I'm happy where I'm at. I've started lifting weights and
Good for you.
I also thank you. And I also walk. I bought 20-pound vest, so I've like upped everything now. So although I've hit my goal weight, I even if I gain a little bit from muscle gain and that too. So which has actually been a lot easier on carnivore as well. I've noticed like gaining muscle.
Yeah, and some people say it's just because you're eating, more protein, which I think is certainly true. I mean, there's maybe some other potential benefits outside of just the protein. But um, do you think that your new lifestyle, if it will, going from maybe kind of obese and maybe less active to being more active has impacted your kids positively? Are they seeing what mom's doing, and is it rubbing off on them a little?
Yeah, definitely. Um, I'm way more active. I used to struggle just getting up, and it was terrible. And now I take them to the park, and I'm that parent that's running around with them at the park and playing in the splash pad with them. And they've noticed that, I'm more active and I'm running around and I'm doing more things with them. And that's motivating them to, like, my daughter wants to work out with me now. And I had said earlier that my son wants to get into it to, build some muscle and that. My youngest, I mean, he's only 4, so he'll just go along for the ride. But yeah, my 2 older ones, they've seen a huge difference in me, and that is a huge thing for me because I did it for them because I wanted to be around for them. I wanted to be healthy.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of the things, I think one of the biggest things we can do for our kids, a lot of parents talk about, I do anything for my child. Would you be healthy for your child? So you can set a good example. And a lot of them won't do that. It's like, oh, that's too much work because I got to give up my junk food. But I think
Yeah.
when you, when you actually display health, it rubs off on your kids, and not 100%, my kids, they kind of make fun of me. I'm always working out and stuff, but they see it and they know. And I think in the back of their mind, they get that this is um, an example for them. And I think kids will, you can talk to your blue in the face and they'll just kind of ignore you, listen to their friends or listen to something
Yeah.
online or social media. But when you show the example, it makes a big difference. And
Mhm.
it probably gives you more energy, because kids are a lot of work, as you probably know. 3 kids,
Yeah.
young kids, and your kids are all at kind of different stages. And so you got the teenager, you got the
Yes.
kind of the middle school kid, and then you got the little one. So they all have different demands and different energies, and so
Yeah.
it's a tough mixture to have there. Um,
Mhm.
so as far as I mentioned, up in Canada, the meat's a little more expensive. You're going to Costco up there, which Costco puts out good quality meat. I got to say, I think
Mhm.
they do a very good job with regard to quality. And I will often get stuff at Costco from time to time for sure. Um, do you find that, so a lot of people will criticize carnivore, say that you don't have any energy, your thyroid will tank, hormones will be out of whack. Have you found any of that to be true?
No, maybe at first, while my body was adjusting to everything, I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of, up and down. I felt really drained for a little bit. And then eventually my energy just came back and it came back, you know, full throttle. Like I had energy for days. I walk a lot. Like I said, got back into exercising and no, it's been great. Like I feel amazing.
How much, talk about what you eat. How much do you eat, as far as, to maintain what you're doing? How much food are you able to eat?
Um, Well, I do the one meal, and that steak and the eggs, the cheese, whatever I add to it, um, that just seems to be enough for me. There's days where, if I do a little bit more, like I clean for work, so I'm a bit more active there. And if I need more, then I'll just eat more that night or like that evening. But other than that, it sustains me. I've gotten so fat adapted that, that big meal sustains my body for till the next day.
Okay. So one meal a day. All right. Well, very
Yeah.
good. Let's see. Anything else we've sort of left out that you didn't get to share? Any other things you've noted?
Um, yeah, so I had eczema really bad too. I've noticed since carnivore that has completely gone away. Um, and I also it was kind of like a bit of an allergy from the sun. So when I would go out, I would, get rashes and hives, and that kind of developed after my youngest was born. But after carnivore, that seemed to have gone away, and I even tan better. I'm not sure if it's related or not, but I've never been like this before, so I'm just going to assume that's what it is.
Yeah, certainly a lot of people have noted they have better sun tolerance for some reason. You can still burn it with excessive exposure, but
Yeah.
it generally, like, And I've noticed that myself. I don't burn as much, or
Yeah.
rarely at this point. So that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what, Cassandra, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Glad that you found
Yeah.
something that's helping you and hopefully maybe inspire your kids and inspire other folks up there in the good old Canadian North there, and so,
Yeah.
because it's kind of think about it, if you're in Canada living off the land, there wouldn't be a lot else other than animals, particularly in the wintertime. There's not much growing
Exactly.
right there. So it's
Yep.
kind of a normal diet, I think, for a lot of people. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. You have a
Yeah. Thanks
wonderful,
for
wonderful
having
day.
me.